Welcome and welcome back. Another day, another reveal. This one has to do with purples and mega rare weapon scrolls, so let's talk about it. Yes, the mega rare scroll is making a return, and we're getting one for this brand new tile. Right here, obtaining a rare unique from Tombs of Amasket. By doing so, we're getting ourselves that mega rare scroll. And for those who didn't play the League last time, what this allows you to do is pick one of the three mega rares that you want. So either the Scythe, the Shadow, or the Twisted Bow. And the nice thing about this is, of the three raids, Tombs of Amasket is probably the easiest to do. If you're not familiar, you can essentially scale the raid up as much as you want. You can always get purple drops from the raid, regardless of the level, but you probably want to do it at least at like level 50, if not level 150. And you get to that by selecting, like different rules, different boss power-ups, things that are going to make the raid more difficult. But if you haven't done a lot of TOA, it's actually not that difficult because you could probably go in with like a rune crossbow and maybe like a dragon scimitar or that other new dragon scimitar equivalent that they added to Varlamore. I mean, shoot, you could probably go in with one of the level 55 double-hitting weapons like Sulfur Blades as your melee option. It's not that difficult because you get so much power within the raid itself. Assuming you can kind of fumble your way through the first boss, you're able to get packs of essentially like overloads and brews and super restores. So you don't actually need that much stuff going into TOA. And of course, since this is a hard tile kind of in the corner, you'll likely have picked up a lot of power from the rest of the board before you're even looking to do this. Now, there is one caveat with this, and that is going to be the quest Beneath Cursed Sands. Now, we will likely have some auto-completed quests, so we might see that this quest gets auto-completed from either a tile or one of the rows, or we just get it as a part of GridMaster. That we don't know yet, but if we do end up having to complete this quest, here's a quick look at the wiki for the requirements. So you've got that whole desert quest line that you're having to go through. The levels themselves are going to be pretty easy. I mean, 55 firemaking, 55 crafting, 62 agility. Those are already not bad in the normal game. The fact that we're going to have the faster XP rates, even though we don't currently know exactly what those will be, this is basically no time. So it's just the annoyance of doing the quests if they're not auto-completed. There's not like any sort of weird items that you really have to worry about in this either. So realistically, you can kind of go into TOA with some mid-game stats. I don't think you're going to be struggling that hard trying to take down, a 50 or a 150 raid. And of course, with this tile, your goal is getting one of these items here. I don't think the gems or the thread or any of that stuff is going to count. Anything that comes from the big main chest is what you're searching for. And for most folks, that's going to be a Fang or a Light Bearer, because those are the most common, especially at those lower end of the raids. Now, something to keep in mind with this, and again, this is something that we don't have the specifics on yet, but we are going to get improved drop rates. And for those who did play last year, you probably remember TOA was printing purples. Like, TOA was one of the best places to get purples outside of maybe like hard mode TOB. So you're probably going to be able to do this one pretty quickly, even if it's solo. And there's actually a calculator on the wiki, this thing right here, where you can plug in the TOA raid level that you want to do, the party size, and kind of see what your chances of a purple are. I put 150 in here. You can see you have about a 2% chance at a purple, but this is without the boosted drop rates. So you might be looking at like 1 in 3, 1 in 4 raids to get, a Light Bearer or a Fang. It could genuinely be that good. And while with this, you're probably going to have to get it yourself. So going into group may or may not help you that much. It's still going to be like really good odds. It's probably a couple of hours for most folks to pick up this tile. Now, of course, once you get the mega rare scroll, you have to make a choice. I do think that there's a good chance we'll have more of these mega rare scrolls on some of the other corner tiles. If they end up having challenges for each of the raids, that's probably what'll happen. That way, nobody has to go like crazy farming out these things, but we don't know that yet. So if you're really stuck to one, you want to be careful with what you're picking. And I have some thoughts on which of the mega rares are probably the best bet for you. Now, a lot of people love the Shadow. They love a mage build. My pause with this is getting magic armor is kind of difficult. Yes, there's Barrows. Yes, there's Blue Moon. The problem is with how the Tumikin Shadow works, you really, really want the end game stuff. So we're talking like Virtus or Ancestral. Those are kind of a pain in the butt to get. And like every percentage is going to matter a lot on the Shadow unless we get some other freebies somewhere in this grid. I mean, I remember my mage build in the last leagues and trying to hunt for armor. I remember a lot of people trying to hunt for like Virtus robes, even with the boosted drop rate. Most people that I talked with didn't have a full set. They'd be lucky if they had like a piece. You know, like it is not that easy to pull because Virtus itself is already so rare, and even if the Desert Treasure 2 bosses are fairly easy, it's still somewhat time consuming to get through them. So personally, I think probably shy away from the Shadow, and especially if you're going to run a lot of TOAs, you may get this one anyway. So for me, it's really between the Scythe or the Twisted Bow. Now, we'll have to see what else comes with some of the power-ups. In the past, we've had things like Never Miss on range, which actually made the T-Bow kind of less exciting because the big pull for the Twisted Bow is it gets a lot of accuracy and a lot of damage against certain bosses that have those like high magic stats. But if we end up seeing something like Never Miss for range somewhere in here, I mean, shoot, even if we get that for like other combat styles, if range can't miss, there's other weapons that are going to do better. And especially when we look at something like Minimum Potential, you know, if you suddenly have Never Miss and you get the Blowpipe, or maybe they add the Drygore Blowpipe from last year, which is kind of like a range version of a Fang, where it has the double accuracy roll. Suddenly, you don't really need the Twisted Bow anymore because the Blowpipe is going to do a lot of damage, and especially with something like this, where the minimum damage is raised, you can use some of these kind of low strength, high attack speed weapons and just melt stuff. So if you can't tell from where my line of thinking is going, it probably means the best rare out of the three is the Scythe. Now, one concern you might have is with the Scythe, if you've never had one, you have to charge it normally with blood runes and like vials of blood that come from the Theater of Blood itself. Now, previously in the league, they've made it so that way you don't have to have the vials of blood. I kind of expect they'll do the same thing here, even though we do have access to the whole map, just because that's an extra barrier for people to use this weapon that they probably don't want to have there. Now, if that's not true and they make you have vials of blood, maybe that would change my mind, but I really think the Scythe is probably going to be the generic best choice. Now, obviously, if you want to go down a particular path, or as we get more of these reveals, they kind of push you towards a different path, sure, go for it. Don't feel like you're stuck to the Scythe. But I think with what we know right now, the Scythe is probably the best weapon of these three because it's going to be the easiest to use. Like, you basically just pick up the Scythe and just go swing it around at stuff and not have any sort of issues. Whereas the Shadow, you need the armor, the Twisted Bow might be outclassed by some other stuff that you've already picked up. So, I don't know, man. Scythe is looking pretty good. Scythe is looking pretty good. What do you guys think of that? Which weapon would you want to pick if you're only given the one scroll? Or are you like me and you think we're going to get maybe like a weapon scroll in this corner or a weapon scroll in this corner? Because there's still 2 more raids out there and there's still a lot of tiles for them to reveal. But of course, since they have updated this page, I do have to click through all of these just to make sure they didn't add something. All right, no, nothing fancy added there, but there is one other piece of information that they talked about today. We're getting at least 60 GridMaster worlds, so, you know, Lesser Demon Wizard Tower line went down from like 200,000 people on one world to, what, like 1,000 people on each world? We may get some repurposed worlds because apparently sometimes during these seasonal modes, they'll take some of the other existing worlds. So we might still see more than like 60 in total. You know, it might be like 100, might be like 150. But I mean, if we get like 100,000 people on day one, still best of luck on that Lesser Demon, man. That it's not happening for me. Anyway, that's it for the reveals today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. While you're waiting for the next reveal, highly recommend checking out the Zaya Locked series over there. Fun little adventure where my account is locked to the continent of Zaya, trying to experience everything that he can there. And boy, there are some challenges along the way. Otherwise, if you want to see the next reveal, I'll have that one linked down below if it's already out. But otherwise, thanks for watching. I will catch you in the next one.